to paying off Stormy Daniels. Caroline, did you have any comments on that? Okay, well, we will keep talking about it. So again, as we said, the former president has been indicted. At this point, he is I don't want to necessarily say a criminal because he has not been convicted of any crime, but he does have an arrest record. And this is the first either president or former president ever to be indicted on any charges in the history of this country. This is huge. This is huge. You know, I'm old enough to remember when Nixon resigned because of Watergate. And I remember that going on. And the difference between Trump and Nixon is that Nixon had enough respect for the institution to go ahead and resign. And Trump has no respect for anyone, not even himself. He doesn't respect himself. He doesn't respect the institution. He doesn't respect the office of the presidency. And so that's why he is a different animal altogether. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, this is a sad day for this country. And in a way it is, but not like people are saying. It's a sad day for the country because we got here, because we shouldn't be here where an ex-president gets arrested. So that is why it's a sad day for the country. It's a good day for law and order. It is a very good day for law and order because it shows that, at least to some extent, nobody is above the law. And, you know, all this time, when they've talked about things as they went through like the Russia investigation, and they talked about the things that were going on, there was always a question. And the interesting thing is that people said, you know, he didn't do anything wrong because they didn't take it any further. And no, that's not that true. And people say you can't indict a president, a sitting president. That's not true either. The issue is that that has never been tested. No one has ever tried to actually indict a sitting president. People are afraid because of what that means for the country. People are afraid of what that means all around. And what that does is it puts a president in a situation where he can do damn near anything. And, you know, I'm not one to harp on, you know, the founders of this country, et cetera, et cetera. But if you look at it, this country is founded on the fact that they did not want a king. It is specifically stated that they did not want a king. They wanted someone who could be held accountable. And the fact that it's gone this far shows you how much leeway a president has. But not only that, it is also a testament to, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's white privilege. It's white privilege and it's money privilege. Donald Trump is a white man who was born into riches. He's had riches all his life. He's never had a real job. He's never had to report to anybody. He's never had to do anything except for what he wanted because he was born into money. So he just does whatever he wants to do. And he stumbled his way to the presidency. And that's unfortunate. He stumbled his way to the presidency. He had no policy. He had no idea what he was doing. Even John Bolton said that Trump had no idea what he was doing. He had no discernible policies or anything. He had no knowledge of foreign affairs. And if you know John Bolton is a hardcore conservative. But at least he's got the balls to tell the truth when no one else does. At least John Bolton told the truth. I will give him that. I am not a fan of him and I never will be, but at least he told the truth. So in that sense, it's a sad day for the country. But again, it is a good day for law and order that no one is above the law. And I do see that my co-host Colette Williams has just joined. Colette, you there?
I am.
We are on YouTube and we are live on our regular live stream, just talking about the arrest of the former guy.
Well, the 34 charges, everything from falsifying documents, Stormy Daniels, and now they're talking about a child that he had out of wedlock, and he paid something like $150,000 to someone else, and then he paid $30,000 to the doorman to keep this quiet, that he's got a baby out of wedlock with someone else. There's so many things that are coming up right now.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, they just talked about that. But they talked about how he sat in the courtroom, how stoic he was.
Yeah, very, but yep.
He should be.
Mhm.
Because it really makes sense that he should be, because he thinks he's above the law. He has always said he was above the law.
Oh, by the way, Junior has posted a photo of the judge's daughter on Truth Social.
What?
Yep.
Well, there was a note that went to Alvin Bragg that said, "I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
And this is going to be out of hand. And then the other thing that they talked about was how in the world could they bring up something like Stormy Daniels that happened so many years ago, when Manhattan is just riveting with crime. Well, there's crime all over the country. He is a crime. He's somebody who is a criminal.
Yeah.
He's a criminal.
Well, you know what? You know who said it best? Laura Coates. I love Laura Coates. I watch her on CNN. She was talking and she said, you know, the Miranda warning, when they arrest you, the Miranda warning, anything you say it will be used against you.
Yeah.
She said, from now on, anything he says can and will be used against him in a court of law. I said, you go, girl. So if he gets out there running his mouth.
That's right. That's why he didn't say anything. And they
Exactly.
That's exactly why he didn't say anything. And the woman was yelling across the hallway, "How did you plead? Did you plead?" And they said all you could see was the back of his head. He said nothing. And ordinarily, he's going to turn around and have something to say. This time, he has nothing to say, because I'm positive they have done everything they needed to do to kind of make sure that he got an orange jumpsuit that fits perfectly. They took all his measurements. They're going to cut off his little piece of his toupee. They're going to cut everything. He's got an orange jumpsuit waiting for him.
Yep.
He's got an orange jumpsuit. 34 charges. He's going to do some time.
Well, no, he's not going to do any time. And
he's going to do some time. He's going to do some time.
You know why? Because the deference they give, not him, but the deference they give the office of the presidency, which I think is too much. They give, the reason that it has gone on this long is because of the level of deference they give the presidency. Anybody else would have been indicted years ago.
Right. But remember, Michael Cohen went to jail.
Yeah, but
Steve Bannon, I think, is still in jail.
No, Bannon's out, but he went to jail and he got pardoned.
They all went. Yes, Steve Bannon went to jail.
Pretty much everybody else went to jail.
Right. So they're going to make some kind of example that nobody is above the law, even if he does 90 days.
I don't think he's going to do any, because one of the logistics of it, because I also was listening to something today that said, you know, as a former president, he gets, now it used to be the former presidents get Secret Service for life. They don't get that anymore, but he gets it for a certain period of time. That means no matter where he goes. They said if he goes to jail, he'll have Secret Service in jail. You know,
and do that. They would not give him Secret Service in
jail.
No,
they said they would have to have Secret Service in jail.
Well, none of this is constitutional. The Constitution did not have any provisions for this kind of behavior. The Constitution was not written with this kind of criminal ever being in office. So all of these things, as they reported today, are unprecedented, because nobody has ever imagined anything like this.
No, absolutely not. But I don't believe he's going to do any. I don't even believe, though, even if he gets convicted on all 34 charges, I think they'll fine him, do something like that. But I'm under no illusion that he's actually going to.
Well, you know what?
Again, it's the office of the presidency, and the country is afraid of the message that sends. And I'm the opposite. I think it sends a good message. I think it says, you know, we as a country will indict a president if he messes up.
and he will go to jail if he
Yeah,
messes up. And
I don't think so.
you can't even bring in Nixon because Nixon did not do anything like this.
No, Nixon had enough respect for the institution.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I remember that day. I was just telling Kiana, I remember that day. I think I was in high school. And I remember coming, and it didn't hit me like it would hit me today, but it was like, wow, okay, the president resigned. I see we've got a caller. JJ, did you have something you wanted to discuss on here? I just asked you to mute if you want to.
I'm just listening for right now.
Okay, no problem. And we are talking about how they have arrested the former guy. We refer to him as the former guy or something different. Not even talking about it. Speaking his name is not something we do a whole lot of on this program. But back to Colette. Yeah, I don't think he's going to do any time. I think that because of deference, not to him. I think there is some deference to him just because this country is so screwed up right now. But in deference to the office, I don't think he's going to do any time. They may fine him a bunch of money. I don't think they can do anything.
And I don't think that that's going to be enough because he has touted all along that he was above the law.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, I agree.
There was another DA, I believe she was a DA in New York, that only brought a few charges and it went away. And Alvin Bragg is the only one that has gotten him this far. So Alvin Bragg is not doing this simply for an exercise in futility, because the whole idea is to make sure that when you break the law, regardless to what it is, you're going to suffer the consequences. So Alvin Bragg is not budging on anything else. And if he does not, and we haven't seen the judge yet. We haven't seen the judge. The judge had to tell him to stand up and speak up. The judge had to tell him to stand up and speak up because the judge couldn't hear him. So he thinks he's above the law. He's standing in the judge's courtroom. Okay. The judge is not supposed to have to say to you, stand up and speak up so I can hear you.
Which is interesting because usually he's louder than everybody in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, yeah, because usually he's the loudest one. And can you hear me, Colette? Colette, are you there?
Yes, I couldn't hear it. Someone said something. I couldn't hear what it was.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got some listeners. So, but you know what? None of us have a crystal ball. But when you see what is taking place at this time, we can only pray that he goes to jail, because if he doesn't go to jail, that simply sends a message that he can do whatever he wants to do. And a fine is not enough. A fine is not enough because he's accustomed to paying fines. No, I will agree with that.
Right. So a fine is not enough. But because he was,
he do be looking kind of fine.
Go ahead, JJ. What are you saying?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. So yeah, no, I agree, Colette, that he deserves more and he should get more. I just don't see them doing it. I just see him getting phone calls from Washington and other places saying, look, this is an ex-president. We've got to do this and letting him off with he's convicted, slap on the wrist, fine him some money, because I think what they'll say is it serves no purpose. A lot of times if you watch some of the trials, they'll say it serves no purpose to put him in jail. I think that's what they'll come up with.
But see, I don't think they're going to say that, because everything that they've said up to this point is unprecedented. So this is unprecedented, and we know this. So for a president, he's no longer a sitting president. And just as they said earlier, he's just a citizen. He's now just a
private citizen. Yeah.
Okay. He's a private citizen, which means he can go to jail. Just like any other private citizen, he can go to jail. And he's done some things that are unprecedented. Nobody else who has darkened the doorsteps of the White House, nobody has ever done the things that this maggot has done. And he has done things because for so long he could get away with them when he felt like he was in charge. He's not in charge anymore. He's got to pay the piper. He's got to pay the piper.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a new sheriff in town. There's a new judge in town who doesn't care what he thinks and says.
Yeah, let me show you something. Oh, you're just on your phone, aren't you, Colette?
No, no, I'm not.
So you can see what I'm putting up.
Yes, I can't see it yet. Oh, yeah.
You're seeing the Twitter feed.
Yeah.
It says, seems relevant, yet another connection to this handpicked Democrat show trial. The BS never ends. This is Trump Jr. posting the picture of the judges.
What?
Daughter of judge on Trump case worked on Biden
Yo, that's my dad.
campaign.
Was
Where
this
did-
not the cult meeting? Is this not the cult meeting? Oh, shit. I gotta get out of here.
Don't know what that was.
Yeah, that was a listener who was.
But
talking.
see, they're not even supposed to have access to the judge or the judge's family. Now that's
Right.
against the law. That's against the law. So how he got, and we don't know if that's for sure the judge's daughter. We don't know that.
Yeah.
Don't know that.
No, what that does, all these MAGA fools.
Yeah,
no,
that's a
Now,
threat.
now there's a price on her head.
Exactly. That's a threat.
That is
These
a
are the
threat.
things- Yeah, that's a threat. So,
So-
this is just, it's unconscionable, it's reprehensible, and he should pay, and any and everybody that sends these kinds of threats, they need to pay also, because remember, those people who were involved in that insurrection, they thought they were above the law. They never thought they would go to jail, but they're going to jail. They're going to jail. They won't get everybody that was there, but they're getting enough.
I agree with that, and I agree with all the shoulds. But the reality is, in my estimation, the reality is that they're not going to do it because of the deference they give to the office. And I think there's so many people out there that will give deference to him. He's got so many people that, they will do that. I have no hopes now. And I told a friend, I've been talking to a couple of friends, I talk about politics all the time. The fact that we're at this point, I'm completely elated. I've been celebrating all day.
Yeah,
I've been
absolutely.
celebrating all day. The
Yes.
fact that we got here, because history, he can't hide this from history. This cannot be spun from history. You can't go and spin this and say, no. You go back, well, yeah, they did. No, he has a record. He was arrested and indicted. He was arrested.
Fingerprint. That's right.
He was arrested.
And the only thing they said was they did not handcuff him. That
Yeah.
was the only thing they didn't. They fingerprinted him. They processed him like any other criminal.
And they didn't take a mug shot because they were afraid it would leak and that they would make money off of it. And they're already trying to make money off of it. They have a fake
Of
mug
course.
shot out there, and they're selling mugs with a fake mug shot out there.
That's a crying shame.
Because these people are sick.
Yeah, they're sick.
They're
just
sick.
absolutely sick.
If
They're
you
sick.
listen to them, and I watch these things all the time, the level of cognitive dissonance is just astounding. It's like, how do you have these two thoughts? COVID was a hoax. It was a hoax. It was a hoax. Trump was the one that wants to take credit for the vaccine. Yeah, he's a great guy. He got us the vaccine. But wait a minute, I thought it was a hoax. But they want to give him credit for the vaccine. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And it's really a testament to the level of ignorance in this country.
Right. And he had nothing to do with that. He had nothing to do with that. So, you know what? And what he did during the time of the pandemic, don't take any credit for that, because he's the one that put the country in a mess.
And we've got a couple of other people have come in. Pash Hanim, have you got anything you wanted to comment on? We'll try to unmute you. I'm asking you to unmute, and you can just listen if you want. Go ahead, Pash.
Yo.
Yeah, did you have anything you wanted to add to the conversation?
Yeah, hello.
Oh, okay, no problem. Let's go to Riatan Live. Riatan Live, do you have something you wanted to add?
Yo, hello.
Yes. Did you
Yeah, I
have
don't.
anything? Okay, you're just going to listen. That's fine as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And I see Posh Hanim is working on his mic. And Posh Hanim, when you get that, just unmute yourself and jump on in. Again, we've opened this up. We don't normally have our Zoom page, Zoom open, but we've opened this up because this is a historic moment. I'm old enough to remember when Nixon resigned. I'm old enough to remember when Kennedy was assassinated. And obviously, I'm old enough to remember when John Hinckley shot at Ronald Reagan. This is one of those moments in time. And this, go ahead.
What's the name of the YouTube channel? I want to.
Intentional Talk Radio. If you go to Intentional Talk Radio, if you go to YouTube and search on Intentional Talk Radio and go to live, you will find us. Yeah, and tell all your friends.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, and tell friends and family to join us and to talk about this conversation because it's again, this is historic. Thank you. So,
So the other is, this is historic. These are times when people need to really be informed and they need to understand what's going on, because this is not going to just go away. They're talking about this trial taking at least a year. And what he's going to do is appeal it and put this on delay.
Yep.
Okay. He's going to delay it. He's going to appeal it. He's going to do all kinds of things to make sure
Oh my God.
that this does not go away quickly and easily, because he knows that he's looking at jail time. So they're not going to just let this go away quickly.
No, I agree.
Oh my God.
So what's going to happen is that he's going to delay this. He's going to ask for recess. He's going to ask for all of these things that will stop the proceedings. But what people need to understand is that everything that he is doing is unprecedented. So all he's trying to do is give himself as much glory as he can possibly get at the weakest time in his life. He's going to do everything he can to get as much as he can.
Yeah, and the bad news is that there's nothing in the Constitution that says a criminal cannot run for office as of the presidency.
They
And-
also talked about that.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing. We need to have there need to be minimum standards for politics. There are minimum standards even to work at McDonald's. There need to be minimum standards. And Lauren Boebert took 4 times to get her GED. She was a 17-year-old mother. Her mother was a 17-year-old mother, and her son just impregnating a 15-year-old girl. Now, kudos to anybody that does something to get better. Yeah. Kudos to Lauren Boebert. She is the conservative.
Yeah, she was on. Yeah.
She took four tries to get her GED, and she announced recently that she's going to be she's 36 years old, and she's going to be a grandmother. And she when her son came home and told her, "I got my girlfriend pregnant, you're going to be a grandmother," she said, "You're making me a 36-year-old grandmother." And you know what he said to her? "Well, didn't you make grandma a 36-year-old grandmother?"
What?
She's like, "Yeah."
And she said something.
And this is a Congress. Now, again, kudos to anybody to do whatever they can to get their life together. I'm not going to begrudge her for that, but she doesn't belong in Congress. There has to be some minimum standards.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that if you're going to run on a party's platform, whether you're Democrat or Republican, you should not be able to run on that platform and use their machine if you have not been a part of that party.
Right.
Trump was not a Republican.
And he should never be. And see, they have left him. They talked about that. They've talked about that this morning.
He should not have been able to run on their platform. Same with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has been an independent. He should not have been when he tried to run on using the Democratic machine. You should not be able to lie. No, I'm not saying they should have a law against that, but both parties should say, if you haven't been a member of our party, you cannot run as a member of our party.
And the repubs are nowhere to be found. They've commented on the repubs not being there to support him. None of them are there. None of them are there. None of them have been interviewed. The news cameras have not talked to any of them. So all of his people, all of his cronies, they're all gone. His wife isn't even there. They've talked about the fact that the wife isn't even there. And where is Melania? Somewhere else. She might be in Europe somewhere taking care of herself.
Taking her
Running
clothes
away
off in
from
front of people.
Yeah, trying to stay away from people because she doesn't want to be a part of his mess. So all of the people that he has had all this time, where's his daughter? His daughter isn't anywhere to be found.
Oh, none of them.
None of them. None of them. Because they all thought that they were above the law. And you see, the son is just sitting back, putting nonsense out on social media. That's the only thing he can do. So come on, this is ridiculous. And I do believe, just as they said, that the crime in Manhattan, the crime all over New York is such that they need to spend their resources on trying to curb the crime. There's crime all over the country. He is a criminal. He's a criminal. So they need to do as much as they can to stop him so that he doesn't go any further. Think about all of the lives that he has ruined, because he has ruined lives. Think about all of the other lawsuits that he has had. This is the first one that has really taken him to court and he's been charged. They need to make sure that they do everything possible so that this does go forward. They don't need to stop this. They don't need to think that this is unprecedented, so they don't need to go any further. They need to go as far as they can. And they do not need to allow him to interfere so that there are delays and delays and delays, because that's what he's trying to do. He's going to do everything that he can to delay it. And he has always felt that he was above the law. Lawsuits, he's got people that sued him because he didn't pay any bills. He's got people who went to his college, his so-called university, that never, ever got a degree. He has done so many criminal acts. It's time for him to pay. It is time for him to pay, because nobody else would have ever been able to get away with the things that he has gotten away with all of these years, at least for 3 decades. So it's time for him to pay. It is time. And all of the things that they're reporting in the news now, you know what? Keep it going, because it's important. It's
I agree. And that's why I'm saying the fact that it got this far, I'm elated that it got this far. I was really not certain that they were going to get this far. So the fact that we're at a point that a former president has been arrested and indicted, forget the handcuffs, forget the mugshot. He has been arrested and indicted. He sat in those pictures of him sitting.
That's right.
In the courtroom and walking. They had one shot where the cops were walking through the door first.
Yep.
2 cops walked through ahead of him. The second cop just let the door almost slam on him. Didn't even hold the door open for him. But I also put on Twitter, I hope whoever the police are that are arresting, processing him into the system.
Yeah.
I hope there are a couple of a bunch of MAGA cult members. I hope
so.
And so they have to sit there and process his arrest.
And all the other part, in addition to that, processing his arrest, think about the ones that wanted to be there in New York to protest. They wanted to protest his arrest. They wanted to protest and be there when he went to court. They wanted to protest the whole thing. They wanted to be there. They're not there.
And
New York has been ready. New York is ready for almost a week because they knew this was coming.
What Eric, did you hear what Eric Adams said?
No.
He didn't say these words, but he basically, you want to come here and protest? He's like, I wish a mother would.
Oh.
He said, be on your best behavior. And they ran, what's her name, out. Marjorie Taylor Greene out.
Oh yeah, and she was on 60 Minutes. And they got her on 60 Minutes. They said interview was shameful.
That's what I heard. I refuse to watch it. I don't know why they put her on there like that. Because you have to understand, these people, they have no shame. They cannot be embarrassed.
No, they have no shame.
They say the stupidest things, and they just don't have the ability to be embarrassed. Just like Trump.
Yeah,
as many stupid things as he said, the average person would say, you know what, I got to stop that. But they don't care. They do not care.
No. Yeah, and he was the one that said, all press is good press. There is no bad press.
Well, that's a Hollywood thing. And that's another thing is that, you know, these right-wingers want to talk about the coastal elite. They hate the coastal elite. They talked to one woman I watched, and she said, you know what, I would never vote. She's a Trump supporter. I would never vote for anybody from New York.
Oh, God.
What do you mean?
You voted for him.
Yeah, and they hate the coastal elite. He is the epitome of the coastal elite. He's rich. He was born rich, and he's a New Yorker.
Really that rich? He's not really that rich.
And they hate people in Hollywood. And he had a television show, so he's Hollywood.
Yeah, that's right.
If you really look at it, he is everything they claim that they hate.
Yeah, and I forgot the name of the show. What was it?
The Apprentice.
Oh, The Apprentice.
Yeah. And I never watched it because I've never liked the guy. I was like, you know, I've never liked the guy.
Yeah, but The Apprentice did not create anything but idiots. That's it, because he was behind the whole thing. It didn't do anything but create idiots. Look at Omarosa. Okay, look at Omarosa. She's nowhere to be found. And how long did she last in the White House with them? I don't even think she lasted a year.
35 minutes.
See, I don't think she lasted any time because she's just as much of an idiot as he is.
And now they've got John Bolton on CNN. And I was saying before you came on that Bolton was even saying recently what an idiot he is.
Because he is. Look
he
at
has
you. No supporters.
No discernible policy. And this may be, and I've been very, very reluctant to start prognosticating on what's going to happen because I never thought he would be president. As a matter of fact, I said, you know, everybody's going to go into the booth and hold their nose and vote for Jeb Bush. And they didn't.
Right.
They got us to where we are today. So I don't do that. Don't want to do that. But he does appear to be losing support. And if you look at what was going on in New York, that's not what he's accustomed to.
Right.
That is what we've seen for the past 6 years.
Right. Remember, they also reported that when Nixon resigned ahead of being impeached, when Nixon resigned, his rating, his support was down to 24%. And when this maggot was impeached twice, his was down to 34%.
Yeah.
So they're saying that he still has the ability to eke out supporters.
And eke out is the correct term because, and there are going to be again, he could kick puppies and have sex with teenage girls and these people would not care.
Yes.
They would not care. And they cannot articulate any policy. There was a brother on TikTok that was bad talking about Trump did more for the black community than any president.
He heard him say that.
What did he do?
Nothing, not a thing. He met with what's his name? What's the guy's name? He met
Kanye.
He met with Kanye. He met with Ice Cube and he met with Steve Harvey. That's what he means. He did much more for the black community than anybody else did. That's what he meant. He met with Kanye West, Ice Cube, and Steve Harvey.
And our community is just the same as it was before that.
Okay. Same as it was before, if not worse. Hasn't moved. The needle has not moved. So he can't do anything for anybody. Who in the world? And remember, he's got something going on right now where he's saying he's going to, did he say no? He said he was going to attack Mexico at the border to keep the
because to go down there and take care of the cartels. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's He's going to get himself ready to put on that orange jumpsuit. They're going to take his measurements as they already have, and he's going to be in an orange jumpsuit. So all of the things that he claims he's going to do, he's not going to do those things. Don't look for that to happen because he can't do it. He can't.
Here's another thing. I'm looking at Twitter. Ted Cruz, the arrest and arraignment of former President Trump by a left-wing Soros prosecutor today is making mockery of the rule of law. Why do they see Soros has become the boogeyman for the right wing? Anytime they don't like what somebody's doing, they're calling them Soros backed. Now, first of all, it's like, you know, it's inane to do that. Secondly, they didn't have the same things to say when the Koch brothers were financing everything on the right. And if you notice, the Koch brothers were financing everything on the right until Trump came along. And they said, we're not with that guy.
And remember, George Soros is the one that financed Patrisse Cullors, BLM.
Well, no, my point is George Soros has become a boogeyman.
Yeah, he has.
The right
He
wing.
has.
All you got to do is call somebody Soros, Soros this, so George Soros backed him. So what?
Right, exactly. So what? But George Soros is the one who backs all those things that come back to bite you. That just means he's not real bright. It just means he's not real bright because he backs all those things that come back to bite everybody.
Well, I don't even know if he really backs these people that people say he's backed them. It's, again, he's become the boogeyman. Because if you're on the right, you just say he's Soros backed. How is a DA Soros backed?
You know what?
The DA is a DA. He is a public servant.
Right. They say things that are absolutely unconscionable and you cannot make sense of them. They just say things and there's nothing that qualifies them or brings credence to what they say. They're just out there saying things. And the sad thing is that anybody can have a phone, a desktop computer, a laptop computer, and put anything on social media that they so choose. So this freedom of speech and having the ability to put anything out there, it will come back to bite you. I don't care how it looks or what happens. It's going to come back to bite folks. And just like you said, the son put the judge's daughter on there. If that was in fact the judge's daughter, I hope they arrest him as that was a threat. I hope they arrest him.
Okay, here it is. The Donald Trump love child payoff scandal. A doorman claims Trump had a child out of wedlock with his housekeeper. And the National Enquirer paid him $30,000 to shut it up.
See, and all of the crap is going to come out. We thought it came out before. No, all of the crap is going to come out now. It's going to come out. And
I hope so. I hope so. But again, there's going to be a certain number of people who, again, it does not matter. It does not matter. There was a guy that I saw the other day talking about Trump he's almost Jesus. He's our savior.
What?
Yeah. And I told you before about the brother, the black guy that they talked to with CNN. And he said, if they said Trump was involved with Russia and Jesus told me that, I would have to check with Trump first.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. And that's part of the problem with the people in this country. They'll go for anything that anybody says. They don't want to think on their own. They don't want to think on their feet. They don't want to be responsible for anything.
Let me show you. Let me show you a post from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Here's the text alert sent out calling in the thugs to assault me. Text alerts cost money, and this is the proof it's funded. Emergency noise demo, New York. New York is louder than hate speech. What does that have to do with anything? There's nothing that says her name on it. And folks, that if you are listening, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene flew to New York today and was basically run out on a rail. There was tons of people out there booing her. And I think the liar guy, what's his name? Santos, I believe he was with her. And there were just hundreds of people that were just all over her, none assaulting her, but just all over her verbally. And she had to be escorted out by the police. And now she's saying, and again, we were just talking about this whole George Soros. Here's a text alert sitting out, calling in the thugs to assault me. Text alert costs money, and this is proof it's funded. So what? That doesn't prove anything. And that doesn't prove any, okay, it's funded. Something's funded. Somebody said, here's some money to send out a text alert. Somebody just had their money to pay for. I have no idea about sending out text alerts. I have no idea the machinations behind that, what that takes. But to put this out there and that's proof it's funded. What does that really mean? It's funded. Everything is funded. Your lights are funded.
So that was Marjorie Taylor Greene calling in the thugs.
No. She's saying this is proof that the people in New York, let me bring it back up. She's saying people in New York call out the thugs to assault her. First of all, again, all it says is emergency noise demo. New York is louder than hate speech. That's all it says. It's some sort of action alert. I don't know how that works.
You know
And she
what?
says, here's the text calling out thugs to assault me. That is not calling out. It says emergency noise demo. And then text alerts cost money, and this is proof. It's funded.
She's so stupid.
But the problem is you have right-wingers who don't care. And they will buy anything she says. They will buy anything Trump says because it fits their narrative. That's all.
Yeah.
That is all. It fits their narrative.
Right.
So
that's right.
The boogeyman.
Right. And they don't have to make sense. They don't have to make sense at all. It's just that somebody follows them and they agree with what they say. They don't have to make sense. They don't have to have any kind of integrity. They don't have to have intellect. They just spew crap. They just spew things just to hear themselves spit because none of it makes any sense. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's got kids. And I agree. She should be ashamed of herself. She has kids. And speaking of which, what's the other girl's name? The real girl in the mud with the maggot. What's the other woman's name? Who was there in the White House, but she had a title, and I can't even tell you what the title was.
There was Kellyanne Conway and
Kellyanne, that's it, Kellyanne Conway. Well, Kellyanne Conway, with her smart self, her ass is in divorce court. Her husband is divorcing her.
Yeah, well, you know, her husband's he's a Republican, but he was never on the Trump team.
That's right, and he was a staunch opposite.
Yeah,
staunch opposite. In opposition to both of them, his wife and the one that she supported. So she's in divorce court right now because he is done with her. He's just done. Okay. You can only be stupid so long. And then folks turn their back on you.
Yeah. And think about it. And think about this for a second. She's getting a divorce because of Trump. There have been more relationships, be they marriages, significant others, things like that, that have broken up since he came into the spotlight, because people have found out, just like COVID, people found out, I don't really like this person. People found out, really, you support this guy, and people are breaking.
That must say something.
And remember, Kellyanne Conway's daughter doesn't like Trump either, and she came out and said, "This is crazy, Mom, you're making my life miserable."
Is that what she said?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Her daughter came out and was just like, this is ruining my life.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And over this guy. You know, and I tell my friend of mine that I talk to about politics all the time, he's like, it'd be different if this was about somebody that had done something. You take a Colin Powell, 4-star general. He was a chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staffs, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody like that. Anybody. What has Trump ever done? Every business he's had has failed. Trump Water, Trump Steaks, Trump University. Trump University had to pay, like, what is it, $5 million, $25 million
people.
And
That's
then,
right.
then their charity
Yes.
had
He's
to
never
be,
been a chair.
they shut down the charity. They had to pay a fine and told them they
Right.
cannot run a charity in New York State anymore.
Right. That's right. And he cannot run a business in New York State anymore. Okay. So all of these things, again, that begs to he's going to jail.
I don't think he's going to. I just think they're going to give so much deference to the office. I just don't think the people have the stomach to put an ex-president in jail. I just don't think it. And I'm not getting my hopes up.
Well, you know what? I don't think we should get our hopes up, but what I think we should do is say, you know what? Nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know what lies ahead. But what we do know is he's not above the law. All of the things that he has done are crimes.
And see here, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick says Trump is guilty for making America great again.
What? He's guilty for making America great again. And that simply goes back to, they just want to go back to slavery.
Well, they talked to one guy that said, and he was a religious guy, some right-wing Christian nationalist. And he said life was good back in the 1700s. We need to go back to that.
See?
And the guy interviewing him said, wait a minute, weren't there slaves in 1700? He said, well, yeah.
Well, see, like I said, so we don't know what's going to happen. The most we can pray for is that he suffers the consequences just like every other criminal. He has to suffer the consequences like every other criminal because he is a criminal. Just as you just read off all of the things that he has done to other people, he has got to suffer the consequences of decades of criminal behavior, decades of sticking other people, decades of lying, defrauding the government, defrauding other people, not paying people for doing work, paying workers under the table and then taking it away from them. So he's got a list that should have him in prison for decades. There isn't anything that he has done. He's been a failure at everything. So when people talk about what he's done, find something that he's been successful at. Because he's in power. Okay, Mar-a-Lago, he lives in both places.
Yeah. I do want to bring this up, and I'll bring it up on the show tonight. But I don't know if you know what's going on in Tennessee. Republicans are trying to remove Democrats from committees just because they joined a gun control protest.
Right.
This is where we are today, folks. This is fascism. And what DeSantis is doing is fascism. And what's going on in Mississippi is fascism.
Right. And what they're doing is they're not getting him, but they're getting everybody who they feel is beneath him, because there are people that think that he's great. And he isn't. He isn't great at all. And the people who are suffering are the people who are really just regular citizens. And look at him now. He's a regular citizen. So he's got a very strong chance of going to jail. And there's every reason that he should. And I
agree that he should, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Again, I just don't think. I just don't think they're going to say. The judge is going to say it will serve no purpose. I disagree with that, but from a pragmatic standpoint, I just don't see it happening.
Well, you know what? It served no purpose for thousands of people to be in prison for 30, 40, 50 years for an ounce of weed. That didn't serve a purpose at all. But they did. They went to prison for an ounce of weed. So it serves no purpose to put him in jail. Yes, it does. It does serve a purpose.
I don't disagree, but when rubber hits the road, it's power, it's money, and it's the lack of money that does it.
Right, right. Well, he
Do you
knows.
think what do you think would be happening if Barack Obama had been accused of the thing, saying
There'd be no discussion.
there would be no
No
discussion?
discussion. He'd be in jail. Are you kidding? Please.
And remember what they were chanting during the campaign about Hillary Clinton?
Her up. Lock her
Lock her
up.
up.
Lock
Lock
her.
her up.
Right.
And
Lock
so
her.
it's you know, when you're non-melanated male with money and power, you've got the juice.
And you know what? He doesn't have the money. Remember, it has been proven that all of that was a lie. He doesn't have anywhere close to the money that he claims he has. And remember what Mark Cuban said when the reporter said, "Do you believe he is a billionaire?" He said, "He's just an heir. I'm a billionaire." Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have as much money. I think he's got a bunch of money, but it's not as much as he says.
No, he claims he's a billionaire. No, he isn't. No, he isn't. He might have $1 million.
No, I think he's got more than that. I mean, you know, the fact that he flies around on his jet, he's got his jet running again, the Trump jet.
Oh,
and he had that
I
helicopter and
don't.
stuff.
Uh-uh.
No, he may be writing that off to on his businesses, but some money's somewhere. So
Yeah, but-
he's got some money. He's got
Remember,
some money.
he tries not to pay taxes, and they call him smart because he knows all the loopholes. He knows how not to pay taxes. But see, it's coming back to bite him because
Mhm.
he hadn't paid taxes in more than a decade.
Yeah. Well, it
Okay.
is. It is. Yeah. It is. It is. At the top of the hour, and we're going to close this out. I just wanted to do this to talk about what was going on right there. So, go ahead and close us out, Colette.
Well, this conversation will continue. It will continue because the whole trial will continue for the next year. So folks, stay tuned. Thank you for joining us. And listen, send your comments in, send us links. Let us know what you think. Follow us on all of the social media platforms. You can also join 682-710-1101 right here at itrnradio.com.